Martell's business decisions. In the scene that originally aired, viewers were shown a surface-level discussion about Martell's new home, his plans to list it, and the timeline for completing the property. What we were not shown on television, but later surfaced in an extended version online, is the part where Chris openly questioned Martell about his past investment property and why it never sold or rented. That missing context changes the entire tone of the conversation and gives viewers a clearer picture of what is really happening behind the scenes. According to the deleted portion of the scene, the previous home Martell built was also meant to be an investment property. It was supposed to be sold or rented, yet neither of those things happened. Instead, the decision was made for Ariani to live in the home. Allegedly, this was not part of the original plan, but rather a result of Martell being unable to move the property on the market. This detail is important because it raises a bigger issue about why Martell continues to build high-end homes when there does not appear to be a strong demand for them in Huntsville. From a basic business standpoint, this pattern does not make sense. Business at its core is about identifying a need and providing a solution. If there is no demand for multi-million-dollar homes in a specific market, continuing to build those homes does not solve a problem. Instead, it creates more unsold inventory. When Chris called Martell out on this, it highlighted a problem that many viewers have been questioning for a long time. Why keep building homes that are difficult to sell, especially after already experiencing failure with a similar project? Most people, after failing to sell a property with certain features or price points, would adjust their strategy. They would look at what went wrong, study the market, and change their approach. That might mean building smaller homes, more affordable homes, or properties that align better with what buyers in that area are actually looking for. However, in Martell's case, it appears that instead of learning from the experience, he chose to repeat it. That decision is what leaves many people confused and frustrated. It is not about whether Martell has ambition or drive. Ambition alone does not equal good business sense. Without understanding the market, ambition can actually lead to repeated losses. When there is supply without demand, it becomes a financial risk, not a smart investment. This is why many people question whether ego is playing a role in these decisions. Building million-dollar homes sounds impressive on paper, but if no one is buying them, the title means very little. Another issue is the way this scene was handled by production. The fact that this critical part of the conversation was cut from the televised episode raises concerns about favoritism and image protection. When viewers only see carefully selected clips that place someone in a better light, it limits their ability to form an honest opinion. Showing the full conversation would have allowed viewers to assess Martell's business logic for themselves. Instead, the audience was left with an incomplete picture. This pattern of selective editing is something that has been noticed repeatedly. Certain cast members appear to be shielded from harsh scrutiny, while others are shown in their worst moments. That kind of imbalance affects how viewers perceive the cast and can lead to unnecessary backlash toward those who are not receiving favorable edits. When production chooses what to hide and what to show, it shapes the narrative in ways that may not reflect reality. Questions about Martell's builder's license also came up during this discussion. While there are claims that he has now obtained the license, many people feel that transparency would go a long way. If the license exists, showing proof would eliminate doubt and speculation. The hesitation to do so only fuels more questions. In an industry where credibility matters, clarity is important. There is also the unresolved issue of the hotel project from earlier seasons. That project was presented as a major win, yet years later there has been little to no visible progress. Whether the delays are due to market conditions, funding issues, or other factors is unclear. The lack of updates makes it difficult to know what is real and what was exaggerated for television. This uncertainty adds to the growing distrust among viewers. The phrase often used to describe this situation is that wisdom is chasing him, but he's faster. It reflects the idea that lessons are being presented, yet they are not being applied. Continuing to make the same choices while expecting different results is not growth, it is repetition. And in business, repetition without improvement leads to failure. Instead of focusing on expensive builds that struggle to sell, it would make more sense to focus on properties that match the local market. Homes in a price range that average buyers can afford would likely sell faster and generate consistent returns. That approach would demonstrate true business understanding rather than a desire to impress. Shifting focus to the second major topic, Carlos King recently shared strong opinions about reality stars who quit shows or avoid drama. He made it clear that he feels reality television is not for everyone, and that those who choose to participate should be prepared for criticism, conflict, and intense public scrutiny. While he did not name anyone directly, his comments sparked widespread discussion. Carlos expressed frustration with cast members who claim they don't want drama, or who are upset when viewers label them as boring. From his perspective, reality television thrives on conflict and emotional moments. Without those elements, he believes the shows lose their appeal. While there is some truth to that, it's also important to consider the human side of reality television. No one wants to be seen as boring, messy, or disliked. It's natural for people to care about how they are perceived. The issue arises when the editing process creates an unfair portrayal. Many cast members feel they are not allowed to show their full personalities because their actions are selectively edited to fit a certain narrative. When someone consistently receives a negative edit, it can take a toll on their mental and emotional well-being. Carlos also suggested that some people want to be on reality TV for exposure or business promotion rather than for entertainment. While there is some truth to that, it's also important to consider the human side of reality television. Not everyone reacts to the same situations in the same way, and some shows function better with less conflict. Creating a balanced environment where drama happens naturally rather than being forced could lead to more authentic content. Another point Carlos raised was that reality stars sometimes do the bare minimum and still expect fame and success. While that may be true in some cases, it's also worth noting that contracts and production decisions play a role. If certain behaviors are discouraged or edited out, cast members may feel limited in how they can contribute. The relationship between cast members, production, and viewers is complex. When fans react strongly to edited content, it can lead to online harassment that goes beyond simple criticism. This is where lines are crossed. Critiquing behavior shown on television is fair, but personal attacks and threats are not. Carlos mentioned that some stars leave shows because they can't handle fan reactions, only to later want to return. While that may happen behind the scenes, it's not always about missing fame. Sometimes it's about reclaiming one's narrative or correcting a distorted image. One of the most sensitive topics discussed was the treatment of Melody and her supporters. The season that focused heavily on her fan base felt retaliatory to many viewers. Instead of addressing issues directly, the narrative shifted toward painting supporters as aggressive or problematic. This approach created division and resentment. When a show appears to target a specific group or individual, it undermines trust. Viewers begin to question motives and fairness. This is one of the reasons why some cast members choose to walk away. It's not always about avoiding drama, but about protecting peace and personal integrity. Despite all of this, there was a positive moment highlighted with Melody's Winter Wonderland event. The event was sold out and attended by people from across the country. It was a celebration of resilience, growth, and community. The atmosphere reflected joy and unity, showing that success can exist outside of television drama. Melody's ability to create meaningful experiences for her supporters speaks volumes about her impact. It also shows that leaving reality TV does not mean losing relevance or influence. In the end, both situations point to a larger theme about choices and accountability. Whether it's business decisions or reality TV dynamics, actions have consequences. Repeating mistakes without learning from them leads to stagnation. Growth requires honesty, reflection, and willingness to change. The deleted scene, Carlos King's comments, and Melody's events all highlight different sides of the same reality. What is shown on television is not always the full story. Understanding what happens behind the scenes provides deeper insight into the decisions people make and the paths they choose. At the core of it all is the question of authenticity. Authentic business practices, authentic storytelling, and authentic relationships with viewers matter. When authenticity is sacrificed for image control or forced drama, the cracks eventually show. And when people choose peace, growth, and transparency, the results speak for themselves.